The following is a gameplay walkthrough of Countermeasures. It is designed to give new players a feel of the flow of the game. It will cover basic gameplay discussed in Countermeasures instruction manual. It does not cover aspects of advanced gameplay such as the use of elemental, government, and range cards. It is important that you still read the instruction manual. For this walkthrough, starter decks Bravo and Alpha will be used by players 1 and 2 respectively. Player 1 is below, player 2 is above. Each will start with 6,000 economy points. Before the game, each player shuffles their respective decks. After shuffling, player 1 will cut player 2's deck, and player 2 will cut player 1's deck. Decks are then returned to their owners. To begin the game, each player draws 7 cards from their deck. For the purposes of this gameplay walkthrough, player 1 will play his hand face up. Player 1 begins their turn with the draw phase and draws 1 card from their deck. The assault card Delta Force is drawn. Next, player 1 enters the set research phase and chooses to set Medal of Honor, a tech card, face down in research. Player 1 then ends the set research phase and begins the declaration phase by transporting the level 0 assault card F5 Tiger 2 to the front line in face down defense position. Player 1 ends the declaration phase and chooses not to activate a war or tech card during the second research phase. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 begins their turn with the draw phase and draws 1 card from their deck. Next, player 2 enters the set research phase and sets 2 cards face down in research. Player 2 ends the set research phase and begins the declaration phase by transporting the level 0 assault card USPS mail truck to the front line in face-up attack position. Player 2 continues the declaration phase by declaring an attack with USPS mail truck on player 1's face-down defense position assault card. Because of the attack, player 1's face-down assault card is immediately revealed. F5 Tiger 2 has an ambush effect that allows player 1 to choose 1 face-up card on their rival's front line and send it back to their hand. USPS mail truck is sent back to player 2's hand. Player 2 ends their declaration phase and chooses not to activate a war or tech card in the second research phase. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card, Delta Force. Player 1 then sets both Carbine and Protest face down in research. Player 1 then transports Delta Force to the front line in face-up attack position and continues by attacking Player 2 directly. Player 2 counters the attack by activating a war card in his research, Landmine. Landmine's effect allows Player 2 to discharge 1 face-up assault card when activated. Player 2 decides to discharge Player 1's Delta Force. Delta Force and Landmine are discharged. Player 1 now ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 transports 1 assault card to the front line in face-down defense position. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card, Frag Grenade. Player 1 then transports Delta Force to the front line in face-up attack position. Player 1 then activates Carbine, an equip-type Tep card. Carbine increases the attack of one human-type assault card 500 points. Player 1 equips Carbine to Delta Force. Player 1 attacks Player 2's face-down assault card with Delta Force, which is revealed to be DPV. Normally, the attack of Delta Force is 900 points, but with the equipped tech card, Carbine is now 1400 points. Delta Force attack is compared to DPV's defense of 500. Since 1400 is greater than 500, DPV is discharged. No economy damage is recorded because DPV was in defense position. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 sets 2 cards face down in research. Player 2 then transports F-18 Hornet to the front line in face-up attack position. Player 2 attacks Player 1's Delta Force with F-18 Hornet. F-18 Hornet's attack is 1800 points, which is compared to Delta Force's attack of 1400. Since 1800 is greater than 1400, Delta Force and the equipped card associated with it is discharged. 400 points are deducted from Player 1's economy because Delta Force was in face-up attack position. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card, F-16 Fighting Falcon. Player 1 then sets Frag Grenade face down in research. Player 1 then transports F-16 Fighting Falcon to the front line in face down defense position. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 transports an assault card to the front line in face-down defense position. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card. Parking violation. Player 1 then transports a level 2 assault card, USS Ticonderoga, to the front line in face-up attack position by discharging 2 assault cards present on Player 1's front line, F-5 Tiger II and F-16 Fighting Falcon. Player 2 attempts to counter the transport of Player 1's assault card with the war card Landmine. Landmine's effect allows Player 2 to discharge 1 face-up assault card. Player 1 counters Player 2's war card with the response-type tech card Frag Grenade. Frag Grenade's effect allows Player 1 to negate the effect of 1 war card and discharge it. Both Landmine and Frag Grenade are discharged. Player 1 now uses USS Ticonderoga's effect, which allows Player 1 to choose 1 face-up assault card on Player 2's front line to be sent back to their hand in place of an attack. Player 1 chooses to send F-18 Hornet back to Player 2's hand. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 transports F-18 Hornet to the front line in face-up attack position and attack Player 1's USS Ticonderoga. F-18 Hornet's attack of 1800 is compared to USS Ticonderoga's attack of 1800. Because both assault cards are in attack position and have the same attack, both are discharged. There is no reduction in economy for either player. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card, Nobel Prize. Player 1 then sets Pyrrhic Victory face down in research. Player 1 then activates Pyrrhic Victory, whose effect allows Player 1 to discharge every card on Player 2's front line at the cost of 800 economy points per card. Player 2's face-down assault card and Pyrrhic Victory are discharged. Player 1's economy is reduced 800 points. Player 1 transports F-15 Eagle to the front line in face-up attack position and attack Player 2's economies directly. F-15's attack is 1500. Since Player 2 does not have an assault card on the front line, Player 2's economy is reduced 1500 points. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 sets a card face down in research. Player 2 then transports T-38 Talon to the front line in face-up attack position. Player 2 then activates the Equip Type Tech card Afterburner, whose effect increases the attack of one aircraft type assault card 500 points. Player 2 equips Afterburner to T-38 Talon. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card, Free Press. Player 1 then sets Nobel Prize face down in research. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 then transports an assault card to the front line in face down defense position. Player 2 ends their turn. Player 1 draws a card, Negotiations. Player 1 sets Negotiations face down in research. Player 1 then activates Negotiations, whose effect allows each player to look at each other's hands and choose one card to take. Player 1 and 2 exchange hands. Player 1 chooses to take USS Sturgeon from Player 2's hand. Player 2 chooses to take Parking Violation from Player 1's hand. Player 1 then transports the level 1 assault card, USS Sturgeon, to the front line in face-up attack position by discharging one assault card present on Player 1's front line, F-15 Eagle. Player 1 then attacks Player 2's T-38 Talon. USS Sturgeon has an attack of 1800, compared to T-38 Talon's attack of 1500, which is T-38 Talon's standard attack of 1000 plus 500 points from Afterburner's effect. T-38 Talon and Afterburner are discharged, and Player 2 reduces their economy 300 points. Player 1 ends their turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 then sets one card face down in research. Player 2 then activates Inflation, whose effect reduces Player 1's economy 200 points per turn. Player 2 then reveals their face-down defense position assault card into face-up attack position, F4 Phantom, activating its ambush effect. Its effect allows Player 2 to choose one face-up assault card on Player 1's front line to discharge. Player 2 chooses to discharge USS Sturgeon. Player 2 then attacks Player 1 directly with F4 Phantom. F4 Phantom's attack is 800, which reduces Player 1's economy 800 points. Player 2 ends their turn. This concludes Countermeasures gameplay walkthrough. Good luck and have fun.